The sole purpose of this video is to provide a basic overview and orientation of your new apparatus. This video is not intended to act as or replace individualized driver-operator training. Individual fire departments may base guidelines, policies, and procedures tailored for best practices. Pierce Manufacturing and Hughes Fire Equipment representatives are not liable for injuries caused from acts resulting from actions inconsistent with the information provided within this video and/or accompanying manuals. Refer to the Operation and Maintenance Manual for complete details relating to the components and features of this apparatus. Only trained personnel should operate this vehicle or perform maintenance. You are responsible for learning how to operate this fire apparatus under all conditions without having to refer to the manual while operating at an emergency incident. This video will discuss types of warnings and caution labels. It is your responsibility to locate and identify each of the labels and understand the importance and associated hazards. Warning labels will point out procedure that must be taken or action that must be avoided to guard against the possibility of serious injury or death. Caution labels will advise you that there is a risk of damage to property if certain precautions are not followed. Continuous training, reviewing of operation and service manuals, developing good standardized practices will assist driver operators with a more complete understanding of the components and operation of this fire apparatus. As the driver operator of this vehicle, you are responsible for understanding the function of each component of the apparatus, maintaining control of the fire apparatus at all times while in operation. Make operational and functional changes while operating at an emergency without having to read operator's instructions or safety warning labels. Operate manual override and emergency shutdown procedures immediately if a component fails to operate properly. Components location may vary with each Pierce fire apparatus. Review the exact location of each component prior to operation. Major inconsistencies between your vehicle and the information contained in this video should be directed to your sales representative. Safe operation of any vehicle is the responsibility of the driver operator. You must learn the location and function of all controls, switches, gauges, valves, inlets, and discharges. Due to a higher center of gravity, heavy trucks have a significantly higher rollover tendency than other types of vehicles. To reduce the risk of rollover, avoid making sharp turns, excessive speed, and avoid abrupt maneuvers. In the event of a rollover crash, an unbelted person is significantly more likely to become injured or die than a person wearing a seatbelt. In the event of a crash, unbuckled occupants can also become a hazard to other occupants, as they may be thrown around inside the cab. Seatbelts are required while in operation. Please refer to your warranty certificates for details and information enclosed in your manuals. Customer-installed equipment must be mounted to withstand road travel and comply with NFPA 1901. Modifications such as drilling holes or welding to structural frame components of the chassis are not permitted. Contact Pierce for instruction and review of non-structural sheet metal or other dissimilar metals for modification. Follow the radio installation guide for further assistance on installing or mounting electronics. Before placing your new apparatus into service, perform a primary inspection of key components of the apparatus, including all fluid levels, anti-lock braking systems, electronic stability control, and automatic traction control. Weigh your apparatus to ensure that it conforms to axle and brake ratings. Never exceed the gross axle rating printed on the label inside the cab. Exceeding these ratings could lead to reduced component life, personal injury, or death. Review the use of auxiliary braking systems, compression brake, exhaust brake, electronic retarder, and hydraulic retarder. Before placing the apparatus in service, refer to the operational maintenance manuals. Information on the operation and maintenance functions for the components such as the pump, pressure governor, and foam systems, along with other options, is provided in either the Pierce manuals and/or other manufacturer support information delivered with the apparatus. If you need more information, please contact Hughes Fire Equipment. Congratulations, Boise, Idaho, on your new fire apparatus, job number 31999. Please utilize this job number when referencing your apparatus with Hughes Fire Equipment and Pierce Manufacturing. Let's get started on a brief orientation of your new apparatus. Starting down at the front bumper, you'll find two closed tow hooks. Moving up onto the face of the front bumper, you'll find on the passenger side dual air horns. Located in the center, you'll find your electronic siren and PA speaker. Moving to the driver's side, you'll find your mechanical siren. Moving up onto the body, your headlights, you're going to find the low beam on the outer edge and the high beam on the inside. You'll also find your turn signal. Moving up to the emergency cluster lights, you'll find two red emergency forward-facing lights. Above those, you'll find grab handles, and at the very top of the brow, you'll find 5 running lights. Moving up to the roof of the apparatus, you'll find your LED light bar. Located in the center of your light bar, you'll find your opticom. Here are some close-ups of those images that we just talked about, your headlight cluster and emergency light cluster. You'll notice the LED turn indicator on the outer edge. This is your 20 amp shoreline inlet auto eject plug. As we move through the compartments, you'll find LED lighting and adjustable shelving. This is the through compartment in the tractor area. Located in the step near the rear of the tractor is where you'll find your access to your cab lift, the arrows indicating its location. I would like to point out a couple of caution and danger indicators, first for overhead problems, and also for use of your stay arm for supporting the cab when it's in the upright position. Just in front of the rear tractor tires where you'll find your 4.5 US gallon DEF blue cap. To the rear of the tire is where you'll find your ultra low sulfur diesel, which is a silver cap. You'll also find this on the opposite side of your tractor. Let's talk a little bit about some of these items here. First, warning labels regarding anchor failure hazard. Next is a warning label regarding tip over hazard and that the fifth wheel must be locked during aerial operation. Beneath that, you'll find your owner's manual and that you should read prior to operating this vehicle. To the right of that, you'll find a danger label regarding crush hazard with the movement of your hydraulically powered devices. To the right, you'll find a warning label regarding pressurized caps and the associated hazards while under pressure and removing them. And then just beneath that, you'll find this lever, which is your fifth wheel lock, which must be locked during aerial operations. Let's move to the far side here. You'll find your intake. This is your aerial inlet. This is a large diameter. And then just to the right of it, you'll find an additional warning label regarding anchor failure, which is similar to the one in front. Beneath that, you'll find the aerial drain. You'll also find just above the aerial drain, this is your aerial inlet pressure. And then once again, far right, this is that warning regarding anchor failure and that you should straight pull only. Just slightly back from this location is where you'll find your inclinometers from 0 to 15 degrees for side to side, and then also the same thing from front to back. Seek your owner's manual for advice on how to set this up properly. In that same vicinity, you'll find your emergency stop. This is going to be for your passenger side stabilizers and driver side stabilizers. There is an override, which is a protected switch. You have an emergency hydraulic power, and then further to the right, you have a level assist. Moving down to the lower section, you're going to find your passenger side stabilizer and driver side stabilizer. There are 2 switches in each category, in, out, and up and down. You'll find 4 green lights. As we look to the 4 green indicators, you must have 4 green lights to be able to remove the ladder from the bed. These are those indicators that are required for your continued use of your aerial operation. In the next compartment, just to the right of this location, is where you'll find your additional emergency overrides. You'll first find this black lever, which is your stabilizer or aerial function selector. Moving to the next sides over in the blue, you'll find the in and out for the left beam and also in and out for the right beam. The green will indicate your jacks for up and down. On the outrigger itself, you'll find a danger placard regarding electrical hazard and that your equipment is not insulated. Moving up to the top, there is a label here regarding crush injury. And as we move to the left, you'll find this is the assist for placing your outrigger. Just inside the first compartment, you'll find the Harrison generator control module. Beneath that, you'll find the generator on and off switch. And then you'll also find your 20 amp, 200 feet cord reel rewind. Just beneath that, you'll find the fuse. This is for the motor of the reel. Let's move to the right here. We'll find the G1, which stands for generator. These are the individual breakers for each of those. As we move further to the right, this will give you your voltage, frequency, phase, current, and power. At the end of the 200-foot electrical cord reel, you'll find this junction box. It has a light on top and also plugs on the side with protective covers. Underneath the apparatus, you'll find two right and left pads. These are for your aerial stabilizer. Moving just to the rear of that, you'll find two folding wheel chocks on the right and left. And as we talk about shelves, first I'd like to point out the black latch. This is to allow the shelf to be pulled outward. The one up from that location has a latch that's pushed down. And then the two here, there are two release mechanisms. This will allow the shelf to pull outward and downward. The cable on the end is to allow it when it's in the locked position to be restored. Once again, this is an image here showing the release mechanism for that lower shelf. As we look through some of these images here, you'll find Boise Fire Department Truck 5 on the aerial itself on both the right and left side. And then as we move to the next compartment back, you'll find a pull-out shelf and also two hydraulic reels. They do have the ability to rewind. There is a push button to the individual reel on the right and left side. Let's take a look at the aerial ladder itself. As we look at the very top, this is a release mechanism which should be done when the ladder is in a stowed position. It allows the ladder to remove the waterway from the tip and move it to a lower position on the ladder way. You'll also find chainsaw scabbards, therefore storing your chainsaws on the right and left side, and also adjustable flood lights. As we look to the step area, you'll find in this arrow indicating there is a small access door. Once that access door is open, you'll find this is the location for your ultra low sulfur diesel fuel for the heating system to the rear of the apparatus. You also find some warning and danger labels here regarding fall hazard and also electrical hazard. Electrocution for this equipment is not insulated. As we move down to the bottom, we've seen these indicators before. This is for the attachment points and that you should have a pull that is in a downward motion and not in an upward position. You also find your rear scene lights. As we reveal inside the back of the tiller, you'll find two 8-foot pike poles on the left, two 12-foot pike poles, and then you'll also find your 10-foot attic ladder. In vertical positions, you'll find your extension ladders and also your straight ladders. Let's move to the rear of the apparatus. First, let's talk a little bit about some of the emergency lights. There are two round lights here and also a rear third brake light. As we move to the very top, you'll find a rear-facing floodlight, and at the lower portion, your traffic advisor. Once again, a warning label in this area that no one should ride while the apparatus is in motion. As we move around to the back or side of the compartments, we'll move through the passenger side next. Just off of the main waterway, there is a T at the tip which allows a 2.5-inch waterway to be also added. This is the 2.5-inch waterway that has a gate valve on the very top, and then you'll also see that chainsaw scabbard on the passenger side of the vehicle. Additional image here of the nozzle. As we move now inside the cab of the tiller person's position, you will find your windshield wiper fluid replacement reservoir. You'll also find two David Clark headsets located behind the seat. As we move forward and look forward facing, you'll find instructions here regarding your buzzer for 1, stop, 2, go, and 3, back up. You'll also find the control for your heating system. At the foot level, you'll find your engine start, which allows the information to be relayed to your apparatus operator in the front. You'll also find the foot pedal for your warning buzzer. As we look overhead of the tiller person's position, you'll find your traffic advisor, which is controlled in the rear. You also have a center-mounted left or right indicator. And then as we move further to the right, you'll find your windshield wipers, controls, step lights. You'll also find a jackknife warning and also trailer ABS. And then further to the right, you'll find a rear scene light. As we look from inside the cab down toward the front of the trailer, you'll find on the left-hand side here in the image is where your communication system is. Just down from that in the fly section, you'll also notice tool equipment mounting locations. And then we'll go through a couple of close-ups here as we've talked about earlier. This is your intercom. It does have volume control. As we move further down on the opposite side, you'll find all of your stream information here regarding for nozzle control. You'll also find fold-down steps in this area for the person operating at the tip location. Located in the compartment just in front of the rear wheel on the passenger side is where you'll find your 2 reels, which are for hydraulic use. You'll also find the reel rewind hydraulic push button. Moving forward of that location, similar layout is to the other side, adjustable shelves and a pull-out shelf on the bottom. This is going to be the through compartment, adjustable shelf on the bottom, with the 3 different pull-out style shelves just above that. As we move to the front section, you'll find the controls for the passenger side generator. This is the on-off switch for it. There is also a cord reel rewind. This is for that 200-foot electrical cord. And then just beneath the switch, you'll also find this is for the breaker or fuse for the actual motor of that reel. As we look to the outriggers once again, you'll find this crush warning label here because there is hydraulic and movement. You'll also find this danger label regarding electrocution hazard. And as we move to the passenger side rear section, you'll also find the fill location for your diesel fuel. This is a silver cap. Moving now just upward in the small pan compartment is where all of your modules are. Let's first start with your emergency stop. As we move down from that location, same layout as the other side. You have a protected switch, which is your override. You also have your emergency hydraulic power, and then also your level assist switch. The next section is broken down into 2 sides. Once again, passenger side stabilizer and driver side stabilizer. The upper switch is for in and out of the stabilizer, and the lower is for up and down. Once you have 4 green lights, you should be able to move and remove the aerial from its bed location. As we move to the turntable area, you'll find just at the very bottom, this is your aerial drain. Moving up from that location, once again, you'll find that anchor fail hazard, and you can see that it requires a straight pull only. You'll also find your aerial inlet. This is a pressure gauge for the aerial inlet. Moving over to the right, once again, pressurized caps and the associated hazards with those caps. This is a warning label for that. And then you'll also find that only trained personnel should operate this piece of equipment after they've read the owner's manual. There is a warning label here regarding tip over hazard, and to make sure that you ensure locking the 5th wheel device, and then also once again same anchor failure hazard. Let's move now up to the pedestal, which is on the right hand side here. We'll talk about some of its functions. First, before we get started, there are a few safety labels here regarding warning, tip hazard, and crush. And then we also have 2 pan doors here for gaining access to breakers and additional information. I'll talk about that in just a moment. Let's first start by opening the lid, and you'll find first your emergency stop. On the very bottom, you'll find your on and off switch for your DC lights. Moving to the right, you'll find the ladder illumination. There's an on-off switch for that. And then as we move further down, you'll find your aerial speed, whether you choose to stay in the normal position or move to a faster speed. There is also an emergency hydraulic power switch,
And as we move to the right upper corner, you'll find this Pierce Command Zone, tremendous amount of information at your fingertips. Here's a close-up of those things that we just talked about. Remember that the Pierce Command Zone has not only just information regarding your apparatus engine, it also has a tremendous amount of other information available to you at your fingertips. Moving down to the next section, you'll find three distinct areas. First, you're going to find at the very top your deploy or stow. This is when you're stowing your ladder for the nozzle. The next section down is your nozzle control, and then all the way to the right you have your ladder controls. In the cover itself, you're going to find information here on your ascendant ladder, which is when your waterway is dry, meaning that you're not utilizing water through the waterway. At a 35-mile-an-hour wind condition, these are the information charted. There's also information for your waterway in a charge position, and then you also have nozzle positions. I would like to point out some of these asterisks down at the bottom. For example, icing conditions, you need to refer to the owner's manual for use. On the right, you will find your ascendant tiller specifications for setup per NFPA, and also on this area, you'll find your intercom system. And as we move, you'll find from 0 to 10 degrees negative, and from 0 to 80 degrees, this is your inclinometer for your ladder. Just inside the pedestal, you'll find your retract and extension. This is for emergency situations, for manual operations. And you'll also find the counterclockwise and clockwise rotation. And then you'll also find raise and lower for the extension. Once again, these are for manual aerial device operation. Beneath that, you'll find an additional pan door, which has its calibration information, and seek owner's manual for assistance. And then at the very top of the aerial, I should say at the cab, on the roof, you'll find the warning labels not to walk in this area. This is a breakaway hinge so that if your vehicle strikes a tree, it can be reset regarding that center light. We're also going to find your hydraulic pressure and also adding fluid for your hydraulic oil. You can see down at the very bottom the type and grade for your aerial device. This is going to be your power steering fluid. It uses ATF Dextron 3. Here's a close-up of those images we talked about. You can see the breakaway hinge here. And as we move through, you'll find you have two telescoping lights located in the center. You also have in the cab the access point for checking your engine oil and transmission. You will find in the very rear section of the cab you have two fold-down seats in addition with a roll-up compartment door inside. There is David Clark headsets on both the right and left side. The inside of the compartment roll-up door, you'll find adjustable shelving and also a LED light system. On the very top, you can see you do have a shelf for protecting things from moving around. And also in the very front, in the doghouse area, you will find the charging location for your LED work light. Located behind the driver's seat is your shore power charging system for your batteries. That's when you're plugged into shore power. As we move forward looking, just a general view from the rear to the front, let's now move all the way over to the passenger side of the vehicle, and we'll look for some of the items here. First, this is your refill location for windshield wiper fluid. At the very base, you'll find your mechanical siren and also air horn. Moving up to the top on the left, we'll find some controls here, and I'll go over those in the next few images. Underneath the seat, you'll find an additional 12-volt block station for your LED work light. This is your electronic siren and mechanical siren. I'm sorry, I said it was an air horn, but this is your electronic siren and mechanical siren. And this located under the seat is where you'll find the control module for tilting the cab. Looking up to the dash, we'll find your radio push-to-talk button, also your rumbler. You have two 12-volt barrel-style access points and also your vehicle data recorder port. Looking forward, you have the climate control underneath and all of your electric windows, and also an indicator for the auto lube. Moving overhead of the officer seat, you'll find a siren brake in red. And just in front of that, you'll find an intense map light. Moving now to the driver's space, we'll first find, once again, at all points of entry, those warning labels. And then you also have additional warning labels here regarding wearing your seat belts. Our belts are color-coded in red for ease for the operator to see if you're belted. Just down at the lower section about the right leg ankle area, you'll find your Pierce manufactured placard. This is for the Boise City Fire Department. It has the job number on it. It also has the VIN number, gross vehicle weight ratings. It has the type of chassis you have, and it also has all of your fluid capacities for the device, fluid capacity and fluid type. Moving down into the step areas where you'll find your air inlet, and as we move just up from this location, we'll find the auto charging system. This is when you're plugged into shore power. This will activate. This turns on your battery charging system. As we look to the door handle, this is going to be your door locking mechanism. You can see the red latch, and at the very base of the floorboard, you'll find your electronic siren and mechanical siren. Moving up from that location about left knee near the door hinge, you'll find your battery switch master for on and off. And you'll also find your ignition, start, fuel primer, and mirror heat. There are two also blanks here for future switch locations if you choose to add any additional switches. Moving to the right, you're going to find an information placard and also the push button for your warning system for stop, go, or backup, and also the audible alarm. In the center of the column area at the very top, you'll find a jackknife warning. This will illuminate if you have a jackknife issue. Also, when we look to the left-hand side of your column, you'll find oil pressure, aerial hours, transmission, voltage, and water, and also a tachometer. To the right, you'll find your speedometer, fuel, DEF level, front and rear air. Located in the center, you'll find additional diagnostic information. As we move to the left, I would like to point out this label. We'll talk about it in the next set of images. This is your placard from Pierce. There are also some caution information here about when to engage your tire chains. And then I'd also like to point out also in the center is your pull to apply your system parking brake and push to release. Located on the placard, you'll find the height 11 feet 1 inches, your length at 58 feet 8 inches, gross vehicle weight rating at 75,300 pounds. It also has the job number. If you make any changes, please update this placard. As we move to the center console, you'll find your headlights, dimmer, wiper, the washer, DPF regen, and also the DPF regen inhibit in red. As we move to the bottom, you'll find your engine brake on and off. You have an engine brake setting for low, medium, high, tire chains, off-road traction, differential activation, and whether you want to lock or not lock the differential. Moving just to the right, you'll find your aerial master in red, the high idle, and an indicator regarding it's okay to engage the high idle. You have your stabilizers, which are not stowed. This is an indicator. In red, your PTO for your generator, and then a green indicator that your PTO has been engaged. Just on the side, you'll find the flat and convex mirror controls. And as we look overhead, you'll find a few items. Let's first start in the upper left-hand corner here over the driver's head. Emergency master, roof light, front warning, side warning, lower rear warning, and upper rear warning. Once these switches have been selected to the on position, you will find an indicator light that will illuminate whether it's green or red. Let's move slightly to the right of this location. We'll talk about the high beam flash, your opticom, which is located in the light bar, driver side scene lights, passenger side scene lights, and then your stabilizer locating lights. These are just the small lights located on the side near the stabilizer for where you can place your outrigger. Moving further to the right, you'll find the siren brake in red, your rumbler brake, load manager indicators, and also a lockout cylinders not engaged and a Tillerman not seated. That is the push button which will activate that. You do have some seat belt information here, red indicating someone is in the seat and not belted, blue indicating that they are in the seat and belted. This will display for each position with inside the cab. Moving in the direct center, you'll find your PA system and also your electronic siren control. Spin around here, looking to the back, 2 rear seats and also the center storage location. Overhead, once again, you have the push to talk for your David Clark headset system and volume control. There is some information here regarding generator operator instructions. It's just over the driver's head. Located in the center, you'll find this red light. It has an indicator that you have a door or a compartment open, and it will flash. And then you have your push on and off white and red lights. Congratulations, Boise, Idaho Fire Department, on your new aerial apparatus, job number 31999. If you have any questions regarding the content of this video or further questions, please contact your Hughes Fire sales representative. Thank you and congratulations.